Welcome back. A new report from Henley Partners says a record number of millionaires are expected to relocate internationally this year, with the UK expected to see the largest outflow of high net worth individuals. 142,000 millionaires in total are expected to move from not only the UK, but China, India, South Korea and Russia. But where will they go? Well, many are coming here to the UAE, according to Henley. The Emirates will keep its crown as the world's leading wealth magnet, as nearly 10,000 millionaires flock to the sunny Gulf state. The UAE is doubling down to attract that wealth, improving regulatory reforms and boasting a tax-free lifestyle. Access to golden visas is also helping to boost the wealth hub, granting the coveted 10-year residency permit to property investors spending at least 2 million dirhams, which is just over $500,000 USD. So let's unpack this with Philippe Amarante. He is the managing partner at Henley Partners Middle East. Philippe, welcome to the program and thanks for sharing this analysis, which gives us a really exciting inside look at this major wealth migration now underway. The report says a record 142,000 millionaires are expected to relocate this year. So what's driving this surge in global wealth migration broadly?
Yeah, so the trend is not new, right? We have seen this now over the past years. It's just accelerating. And I think it's fair to say that residence or relocation, to some way is similar to asset classes. So the question comes about de-risking, the question comes about hedging, right? And there are so many options available for these wealthy individuals to sort of build maybe, geographic blocks around the world so they can hedge, they can de-risk better against those events and the volatility that we're seeing right now.
Let's unpack what we're seeing in the region and in the UAE specifically, because the UAE tops your rankings again this year. A net inflow of 9,800 millionaires expected, which is more than what we see in the United States. What are the factors that are driving this capital flight to the UAE?
There are various numbers. I think one of them you touched base on, it's very simple and very easy to do that process, and that's appealing, right? If you look into other jurisdictions, I'm from Europe, if you want to relocate to Europe, set up a company, there's a lot of red tape. And I think the UAE has done a phenomenal job in making it simple and lower the bar for those who would like to come. I think the other opportunity that people are seeking is obviously connecting to maybe the rise of the business activities that we see in the region. There's a lot of capital here. There's a lot of talent here. And then you have all the other lifestyle aspects that we talk, quite tremendously over the past years about the safety that you have, about, great real estate opportunities. See, it all makes some level of positivity and positive sentiment, whereas in the Western markets, let's say Europe, UK particularly got hit hard, or Germany for that matter, you have maybe a bit of a negative sentiment, and therefore, because your options are available, the people who can do, they will relocate using investment-based migration options.
What's interesting to me in this latest report as well, focusing specifically in the Gulf, Saudi Arabia actually making the list this year. It's the biggest mover on the list, 2,400 new millionaires expected. What would you say has been the kingdom's turning point in terms of appeal for global high net worth?
So I think Saudi is going through an incredible historical, social and economic transformation, right? And that opens opportunities, and those opportunities resonate with certain audiences who would like to be part of that story. So, Saudi Arabia also has an investment-based residence option that wasn't there before a couple of years ago. So what we see, and I think that's the bottom line, if countries do understand there's an opportunity to attract and retain talent and capital, these will follow where they find a bit of a return. And indeed, with the economic outlook Saudi has to offer, the giga projects, and in this entire transformation, people are seeking that opportunities and want to be part of the story.
I also have to ask you as well, just given what has unfolded over the last couple of days in the region, we've been stress testing what this most recent conflict between Israel and Iran means for the investability of the region, but also general sentiment around this part of the world. How would you say that geopolitical shocks like the recent conflict between Israel and Iran shape where the world's wealthy actually choose to settle?
Yeah, I think it's something where you will probably ask a lot of practitioners, and we will all share maybe a little bit of nervousness that we had. But at the end of the day, it's also rational conversation. The regulation here, the safety, the sort of resilience that particularly the UAE has to offer is quite strong. And therefore, I think, or I know, for instance, we haven't had clients calling in panic, trying to move assets and want to get out. Yes, nervousness, but I think we all bounce back to some little bit of let's move on and let's continue to drive growth.
Indeed, almost like a tale of two Middle East now. Of course, you have the Gulf states, which have been working to diversify their economies and, of course, attracting a lot of interest. And then the Middle East that occurs outside of that, where we see a lot of this geopolitical upheaval happening. And, of course, this is being watched very closely around the world, in particular in the United Kingdom. And I wanted to unpack this a bit more with you, because what we have seen in recent years, particularly post-Brexit, is London's status as a global financial hub really being checked in real time. And the UK is also seeing an unprecedented outflow, 16,500 millionaires. That's a record. So what's driving that? Is this purely a tax story, or is something deeper going on in the UK that is essentially saying, high net worth individuals aren't welcome here?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of a lot of factors, right? But let's be honest. I think tax, increase in tax or unreliability, non-predictability on tax structures is never really a good business development device. In that way, we've seen something like this around the world, right? But in the UK, it's not only that. I think UK has gone through a lot of governmental changes, had this severe events such as Brexit, and that gives uncertainty. And people who would like to build a business, who are managing their family estates, wealthy individuals, what they want at the end of the day is reliability and predictability. And the UK at the moment appears to not have that. And I think then there's an underlying factor as well, where the brand that UK has been so strong for is maybe somewhat lesser appealing at the moment, simply because there are other options, right? Those wealthy individuals relocate to Monaco, they come to the UAE, they go where they actually feel a bit of welcome. And it's that negative sentiment. I wouldn't call it a depression, but the sort of positivity, the yay that we have seen in the UK, maybe let's say 10 years ago when it hosted the Olympics, that's difficult to grasp right now. And then you have a ripple effect. One starts moving, to move, and then 4 and 16, and this is how it goes right now. And therefore, I think it's not only a tax conversation, it's a wider economic conversation. I personally think, of course, the UK will bounce back because regulation will be put in place at some point, to reverse these effects. But at the moment, it's not really appealing to be investor friendly.